I will maintain that the proposition still deserves an affirmative vote from the judge by explaining the invalidity of all three of the opponent's main points, and thus of our argument as a whole. First off, my opponent seems to have completely taken off on the idea that I proposed that the International Whaling Commission should take care of the dolphin hunt and the dolphin protection matter as a whole. And I will defend that point, but I will do so just in order to further prove the effectiveness of my own proposition, which, like I said before, is that a similar program like the IWC, one to regulate dolphin hunting, should be advanced by the United Nations. But a similar plan can in fact be judged based on the IWC itself, as my opponent did, so I will disprove her arguments to prove the solvency and significancy of my plan. Her first argument of empathy is completely irrelevant and should be disregarded immediately because she's arguing against me as if I suggested the idea of rights by empathy when I simply did not do that. I suggested that dolphins be given rights by recognizing their personhood. Empathy is defined as the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. I definitely feel empathy for the dolphins, but that's a personal matter of emotion. Personhood, which is what I suggested, is the quality of being an individual person, and my opponent said nothing against that. So not only is my argument then conceded as true by the opposition, but I urge you, Judge, to forget her entire first point for its faulty basis. While the IWC is in fact an organization of voluntary members, my opponent was entirely also wrong on the foundation for her attack against it, against the United Nations, against the tied work of these two entities, and against their overall credentials. I actually provided reasoning that this proves the opposition's argument before she even made it. The IWC is in fact backed by the geopolitical force that makes up the International Court of Justice, so its mandate doesn't have the political limitations which my opponent used as the basis for her second and third points, so I urged you again, Judge, to reject those too. My plan will actually be effective in achieving its desired results because Japan will abide by the United Nations mandate, as can be seen by the example that I provided in my first speech, and that disproves my opponent's second and third points. I mentioned how this very same year, Japan called off a whale hunt, and this only happened after the International Court of Justice, which is the judiciary branch of the United Nations, ruled against Japan in a case brought up by Australia in regards to mandate from the International Whaling Commission. This means that Japan would not choose to desert the International Whaling Commission or a similar program like it, which completely counteracts the opposition's last 2 points. So my proposition still stands. The United Nations should act as soon as possible and demand an end to the annual dolphin hunt in Taiji, Japan, by means of granting protection rights to the dolphins through advancing programs to regulate dolphin hunting which are similar to the International Whaling Commission.